The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Alexander Hartwell's penthouse, casting golden light across the marble floors. The air smelled of freshly brewed coffee and lemon-scented polish, everything in its place as always. Alexander sat at the kitchen island, scanning financial reports on his tablet. His housekeeper, Elena Morales, moved quietly around him, setting down his usual cup of black coffee. She was always so careful, so precise. Never a spill, never a clatter. But today, something was different. As she turned to leave, the sunlight caught the side of her face, and Alexander froze. A dark bruise spread across her cheekbone. Another peeked out from under her sleeve. "Elena," he said, his voice sharper than he meant it to be. She stiffened but didn't turn around. "Yes, sir. What happened to your face?" Beat of silence. Then too quickly. "Oh, it's nothing. I tripped last night. Hit the edge of the counter." Alexander set down his tablet. He knew a lie when he heard one. "Look at me." Slowly Elena turned. Her dark eyes were wide with fear, not of him but of something else. Someone else. "That's not from a fall," he said quietly. Her hands trembled. She clutched the tray tighter, as if it could shield her. "Please, Mr. Hartwell. I don't want trouble." Alexander had built an empire by reading people, their weaknesses. And right now, Elena's fear was screaming at him. "Who did this to you?" A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away fast, like she was ashamed. "My husband," she whispered. The words hung in the air, heavy and ugly. Elena had worked for Alexander for years. Quiet, dependable, never complaining. He knew she sent money to her sister every month, that she had a little boy she rarely spoke about. But this was something he hadn't seen coming. "He doesn't like me working here," she said, voice breaking. "Says it makes him look weak. Last night she swallowed hard. He was angry. Again." Alexander's jaw tightened. "How long has this been happening?" Elena shook her head. "It doesn't matter. I can't leave. I have nowhere to go, and my son." Before she could finish, a loud bang echoed through the penthouse. Someone was pounding on the front door. Elena's entire body locked up in terror. And then a man's voice, roaring from the hallway. "Elena! Open the door." Her husband was here. And from the look on Elena's face, he wasn't leaving without her. The pounding didn't stop. Bang, bang, bang. Each strike against the door made Elena flinch like she'd been hit. Her hands flew to her mouth, her breath coming fast and shallow. Alexander had never seen fear like this. Raw, paralyzing. "Stay here," he said, standing. Elena grabbed his arm. "No, please. If you make him angrier, he'll take it out on me later. He always does." Alexander looked into her eyes. Really looked. Saw the years of bruises she'd hidden, the excuses she'd made, the nights she'd spent trembling. "Not this time," he said softly. Then he walked toward the door. The moment Alexander opened it, a man shoved past him, reeking of alcohol and rage. "Where is she?" Daniel Morales snarled. Tall, broad-shouldered, with knuckles scarred from fights. Alexander could see the kind of man he was in an instant. The kind who ruled through fear. 2 security guards rushed up behind him. "Sir, we tried to stop him." Daniel ignored them, his bloodshot eyes scanning the penthouse. Then he spotted Elena in the kitchen. "You think you can hide from me?" he roared. Elena backed against the counter, shaking her head. "Daniel, please. I was just working." "Working?" He spat the word like it was poison. "You embarrass me. Acting like some rich man's servant while I..." Alexander stepped between them. "That's enough." Daniel's face twisted. "This doesn't concern you." "It does now." For a second no one moved. Then Daniel lunged. Not at Alexander but at Elena. Alexander reacted faster. He caught Daniel's arm, twisted it behind his back, and slammed him face first into the wall. "Call the police," Alexander ordered the guards. Daniel thrashed, screaming curses. She's my wife. You can't take her from me. Elena stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. Alexander tightened his grip. You lost the right to call her that the first time you hurt her. The police arrived quickly. Handcuffs clicked. Daniel shouted threats even as they dragged him out. This isn't over, Elena. You hear me? You're mine. The door slammed shut. Silence. Then Elena collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Alexander knelt beside her. He's gone. She shook her head. He'll come back. He always comes back. Her voice was so small, so broken, like she'd already accepted this was her life. Alexander made a decision. No, he said firmly. He won't. The police had taken Daniel away, but Elena still trembled like a leaf in the wind. She sat curled in the penthouse's plush chair, her arms wrapped tightly around herself, as if trying to hold the pieces of her life together. Alexander watched her from across the room, his mind racing. He had seen fear before, in boardrooms, in negotiations, but never like this. Never the kind of fear that seeped into a person's bones and stayed there for years. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. Mr. Hartwell. A woman's voice answered. I need your help, he said. I have someone who needs a safe place. Tonight. There was a pause, then a quiet, understood. An hour later, Alexander pulled up to a small, unassuming building on the outskirts of the city. The sign above the door read New Dawn Shelter. Elena stared at it through the car window, her fingers gripping the seatbelt. What is this place? A fresh start, Alexander said simply. Inside, a woman named Sophia greeted them. Warm eyes, steady hands. She had the kind of presence that made people feel safe just by standing near her. We have a room ready, Sophia said, glancing at Elena with gentle understanding. You'll be safe here. Elena looked between them, her breath shaky. But my son. My job. I can't just. Alexander reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This should cover everything you need for now. Elena took it with trembling hands. When she peeked inside, her eyes widened. This is too much. I can't. You can, Alexander said. And if you ever want your job back, it's yours. But only if you want it. For the first time since he'd met her, Elena's shoulders relaxed. Just a little. Like a weight had been lifted. Sophia touched her arm. Come on. Let's get you settled. Elena hesitated, then turned back to Alexander. Tears glistened in her eyes, but this time they weren't from fear. Thank you, she whispered. He nodded. You don't owe me anything. You owe yourself this. As Alexander drove away, he glanced in the rearview mirror one last time. Elena stood in the doorway, the evening sun casting a golden glow around her. For the first time in years, she wasn't hiding. And Alexander, he finally understood what real power was.